Well, Sounds Like Brisbane is an informal collective of independent record labels in Brisbane. As of yesterday, we now have 21 labels involved, which is pretty impressive for, I think, for a city this size to have that many labels. And that's certainly the feedback I get from other people, around the world, that it's pretty amazing. So, the whole idea is to get labels starting to talk to each other more, to share ideas, to work together collaboratively in terms of, promoting music from Brisbane and, just to try and build a bit of a stronger sort of network amongst everyone. Oh, it's been very easy. I mean, ultimately, I don't think independent labels see each other as competitors, certainly not like the majors do. We all operate, it's a bit more genre specific, everyone does their own thing and, and people can see the merits in working together because, no one's sort of building an empire, it's small businesses, and the whole idea of being a bit more collaborative is trying to, I suppose, work together and share ideas and to me the greatest things about Sounds Like Brisbane is when you've got a group of labels in the room and you've got Bob from Turkey Neck talking to the guys from Low Fly about how to press vinyl. I mean, that's, to me, the really valuable part of it is about sharing that kind of information. Oh, you should tour here, you should talk to this person, you should do that person. And, together, we can do a lot more as a city and as a group of labels. What's unique about Brisbane? I think it's the sense of independence, the disconnection from Sydney and Melbourne, the traditional power bases down there, and some people, it does certainly create some issues, but I think by and large it's created an environment in Brisbane for the last 20, 30 years where people have just got on and done it. They're not going to sit around and wait for someone from a major label to come and work with them. They're going to start their own label, they're going to put out their own records, and I think it's a really positive thing. It's just that, just get on and do it kind of attitude. Well, I think it's about, ultimately I see labels really as support networks for bands, and I think it's important that you find a group of people that you want to work with. The idea of a label is changing. Labels now are kind of music companies that do everything. They release records, but they also promote shows, manage bands, do PR, do everything. So I think, central to the idea is just finding a group of people that you can work with, that everyone's got their own individual set of skills. Someone might be good at artwork, someone might be good at booking shows. So finding that group of people and then finding bands that you're really excited about. I think, sometimes we lose sight when we talk about industry stuff that ultimately, if we don't have good songs, we don't have good bands, no one's got a chance. So I think it's about finding those bands, finding that group of people and finding, a group of bands that you're really passionate about and want to work with. I think that's probably the most important thing. Well, I think fundamentally it's about having great songs and a great live show. And independent labels will generally always sign a band based on the music. I don't think they don't necessarily see a big profit motive. But at the same time, I think if you talk to any of the labels involved with Sounds Like Brisbane, they'll talk about the need for a band to be committed to working hard, whether that's touring or, making sure their website's updated. And bands that see that this isn't necessarily a 12-month proposition, that, the next EP mightn't work for you, or the one after that mightn't work for you. It could be your third album that really takes off. So I think bands have to demonstrate that they're committed to that, in the long term. It's not necessarily an overnight thing. And labels want to work with bands that understand that and get that aren't going to be, I suppose, disappointed to the point of breaking up if their new single doesn't get added. That understand that it's a long road, and labels want to have that relationship with bands that are prepared to travel that road. I think that's really important. I think the thing that concerns me is that independent record labels are generally run by one or two people on very small budgets with very limited amount of time and resources. Independent labels in Brisbane have really become the centre of the music scene because they're doing so much more than just releasing the bands. They're putting on shows and pretty much managing their bands because we don't have as many managers as we should here. So I suppose the whole thing for me has been motivated by a concern that I don't want to see labels dropping off. I don't want to see labels collapsing just because it's too difficult, because it's really difficult, you know. And I think if we can kind of create an environment where people are, you know, more excited about having a label and have people they can go to get advice from, I think our chances of labels dropping off become a lot less, and also the chances of labels becoming stronger, you know, become, you know, I think there's more opportunity for labels to grow. And, you know, and I suppose I want an environment in which we encourage new labels to start. I mean, it's not that hard to start a record label. I mean, you know, it's easier than ever to put out a record. It's just about creating that kind of support network around a couple of bands that you love. So yeah, I think it's important to strengthen the current labels and to kind of encourage some new ones coming through.
That sampler.
Yeah. It's funny that we're talking to some designers about how you kind of define Brisbane and Brisbane music, and this fantastic designer came back with, you know, well, Brisbane, it's hot, wet and it's loud. And I'm like, oh, that's so perfect. So over the last couple of months, and, you know, continuing on, I think indefinitely, we're running an online campaign, you know, to kind of promote the labels and promote Brisbane principally overseas, talking to blogs and websites and stuff like that. And right now at soundslikebrisbane.com you can download a 17-track sampler which takes in most of the labels. And at that website we'll be, you know, continuing to put new samples out all the time. I mean, the website's just one part of the project, but it's become a access point for people overseas. You know, if you can't find a band you don't like on that website, I'd be really, really surprised, because it just represents such a broad set of genres that we have in these labels. And yeah, and I think it's a case of, let's just give away a whole lot of music. Let's get people excited about Brisbane, whether that's people in Brisbane or overseas, and you know, let's keep feeding them new music so that they dig a little bit deeper.